It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, a lot of things happening in northeastern Pennsylvania, a lot of great things happening. One of the great things that are happening is going to happen December 20th. And I'm going to tell you all about that. But however, if you're watching this show after December 20th, we're going to tell you what you can do. And it's a great event. It's Joe Maddon's main event, Fighting for Jordan. Now, what's that all about? My guest today, former Congressman Lou Barletta. We're talking about his grandson, of course, Joe Maddon, who is the current manager now of the Los Angeles Angels. And Bob Curry, no stranger to the Sam Lesante Show, is co-founder of H.I.P. First of all, how is your grandson doing?
He's doing good, Sam. Thank you. Doing really good.
A lot of scary moments, a lot of real heartbreaking days. Tell me how this thing started with your grandson, what he has, and the whole purpose here.
Sure. It was back in August of last year. I was in the middle of a Senate campaign, as you know, a statewide Senate campaign, and we found out that Jordan, at the age of 16 months, Jordan's a twin, had a cancer, a childhood cancer called rhabdomyosarcoma. It's a very rare childhood cancer, pediatric cancer. Affects about 350 children a year are diagnosed with this type of cancer, and as you can imagine, your world is literally turned upside down. I mean, I'm serving in Congress, running for Senate, and all of a sudden, your life stops, and you realize your priorities immediately change in life. Things that you thought were important become very unimportant. What I realized through this whole thing as Jordan is fighting this cancer is that when something like this happens, like how can a 2-year-old get cancer? How can God let something like that happen? Your faith is challenged, trying to deal with it and understand it. And I believe one of two things happen. Either you become bitter because of it, or your faith gets stronger in believing that God maybe put you in a position that you're in because he wants you to do more and make good out of it. And we didn't want Jordan to grow up feeling sorry for himself. His life is going to be changed, obviously, from the surgery he has. We don't want him to grow up and feel sorry for himself. Rather, we need to make something good happen. And through Jordan's illness, what he's going through, because this type of cancer, rhabdomyosarcoma, is so rare, not a lot of research dollars go towards finding a cure. My daughter also said, "Dad, I want to be able to help other children and families that have this." So we decided that the good we're going to make out of this is that Jordan's going to be able to be proud that what he went through is going to help other children. We started the foundation to raise money, to put it towards research and help other families that have it. Through what the Hazleton Area School District did in Jordan's Army Day, Kim Jackson, who's the instructor at the Hazleton Boxing Club, talked to Bob and said, we need to do something for Jordan, this Fighting for Jordan. Bob Curry and I got together. Bob called me and we started talking, and he said, I'm going to reach out to Joe. And then Joe, through his goodness, and Jay have taken this to another level. And, again, I just want to say something, Joe's going to go down in the record books as one of the greatest managers in baseball history, right here from Hazleton. But again, maybe God puts you in positions to do good for others, and what he's doing is just that.
The trauma that your family went through, because I know you were coming on the show and we were in constant communication, and the stress, on your wife and your children and all the Barletta family. But you said something that makes a lot of sense. Sometimes God gives you something for a reason. And here we are today, expanding and doing what we could do to help other children. There's a whole other process with the H.I.P, what happened there with Joe and the whole bit, and the challenges that they had, and what they've accomplished. Right now, how is your grandson doing? And because I know there's a lot of things in life he's not going to be as far as normal as far as functioning, but he'll be able to live a good life at least.
Well, he's getting chemo every day. Every day he gets a daily chemo, and once a week he goes to CHOP Children's Hospital, Philadelphia, for another type of chemo. and he'll have that until the end of January, and then they'll do another scan. But he's doing good right now, and you know, he doesn't know anything different. He you know, from the day, you know, from 16 months old, he knows his hospitals, ouchies, and fighting it. But he's going to do something great someday. And I think, you know, what that will be is he's going to be the poster child for something that's going to help and change the lives of other children.
So you, through Jordan's Army, you're raising money, okay, for the research. Now, Joe, you come into the picture here as to, you know, you're, you know, get involved. And how, you know, how did you get involved, and your feelings on this?
Well, like Louis just said, him and Bob started talking about it, and then Bob called me about it, and it was just a natural fit. Listen, Louis and I go way back. His family and I go way back, and whatever we can do to help Louis and the whole group. Like I said, we played fast pitch softball together. We have that kind of connection. But anything we can do in this community to help out, especially, listen, I have grandkids, I have kids, I have grandkids. It's tough to listen to this story right now. It's just another kind of an opportunity for us with the Respect 90 Foundation, again, to expand our umbrella. To try to do good in this community and beyond. So again, it's partly that, but when you get a chance to help family, you do that.
The fact, I mean, you're just a regular guy, really. And I'll continue to give you advice on, you know, managing the team.
I always appreciate that. Plus the two quarters you gave me.
I'll call you every, just so you know that.
Parking meter.
Yeah. Your position right now, okay, lending the, you know, your position, what would you ask people to do in terms of this particular event? We'll talk about the event.
For the event, or just in general?
In general.
Yeah, listen, I mean, first of all, Bob and Elaine, my cousins, they're really the boots on the ground components of this. You have to have people here that are totally dedicated to this organization and what we're doing and our philosophy in order to get this thing done. So Jay and I have watched from a distance. We had ideas in the beginning, but these are the people that are actually here are making this thing work. What I want people to understand or attempt to do, I really, and I don't know if it's a challenge or request, come down to the Hazleton One Community Center, walk in there and see exactly what's going on. We were there the other day for our Thanksgiving on Sunday, walked into the cafeteria downstairs, totally blown away. Our whole program is maturing, is the best way I could describe it to you. You walk in, the building's matured, there were more people involved, a more wide-ranging variety of diversity of people in our group, and you could just see it's taking hold. I don't know what the basement of Our Lady of Grace Church looked like back in the day when he used to have functions down there, or even at MPB St. Gabriel's, any of the Catholic churches in our town, for that matter, any church in this town, when we used to be, got to the point where you were more open to others coming into your fold, and eventually it turns into the great city of Hazleton, and it was on the map, and it was a very prosperous area and a tremendous reputation. And that kind of went away, quite frankly. And now we're trying to rebuild that by accepting diversity and welcoming all these different folks into this town. Just like I've talked about, my grandparents were welcomed kind of back in the day, and eventually you have to grow into the point where maybe I get it. Like you're talking about Jordan. I'm you know, Jordan from a couple years ago when you're 1954, when you're born, and your grandparents came in the 20s and before that, when they weren't accepted so readily. So it continues to advance. It continues to advance, but we need everybody's help. It's not just an Hispanic building or project. It's for everybody, and that's what I want the folks around here to understand. And the more we get on the same page and set an example for the rest of the country, you're going to really see this blossom. And final point, we are here to help surrounding communities do the same thing. We're here to help you establish the same kind of a program. And if we all understand that and get together, there's nothing that can stop us.
Well, and certainly you've come a long way. All right, Robert, you thought you were just going to sit here and look handsome. No, you're going to talk a little bit here. Let's talk about what's happening December 20th. All the the great event on December 20th, and then we'll talk about what they could do if they cannot make the event.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having us on, because I think this is a great meeting for us to get our message out, and that's critically important. And secondly, I saw something the other night when you talk about coming together as a community and what becomes meaningful, both personally and collectively. I met Jordan for the first time last Friday night at our event, and this is a boy. He's a beautiful child. And he comes in with his parents, and Jordan had just come from chemotherapy. And that boy gave me a high five, and he was as friendly and as upbeat as you could possibly want a 2-year-old to be. So when people say, well, how did you get involved? Or why are you involved in this? I'd like everybody to understand something. The humanity of this child, of this city, of everyone working together collectively, we can make a difference not only in Jordan's life, but in the lives, as Lou has said, in so many other families, and make a significant impact on both research and helping those other families that have children that are suffering from this terrible disease. And because there are so few children, it doesn't rise to the level that you see the studies from the National Institute of Health, so the families feel like they're on their own. And when Lou told me about starting a foundation to help all those families, how could you not join up with that? How could you sit idly by? You can't. If you have a heart and you're a human being, you've got to do whatever you can. So when you ask me what people can do, you can make a contribution. Right now the contributions, because Lou's foundation is not set up yet, but his foundation will be set up shortly. We're accepting contributions in Joe's foundation, the Respect 90 Foundation. And anyone out there who would like to make a contribution can do so. Just put on the check itself, put Respect 90 Foundation, and on the note, for Jordan's Army.
And we have that on the screen, folks, what you could make it and also where you could send it. Hazleton 1 Community Center, 225 East 4th Street, Hazleton 18201. It's on the screen. I just wanted to give them additional information, but continue on with what's happening.
Very good. So this Friday evening, doors open at 6 p.m. First bout is at 7 o'clock, and we've got a really entertaining evening. I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's extraordinary. We did it for the first time last year, Joe. It was just an exceptional
Tell me
night.
what's going to happen.
Okay, we've got about 15 bouts, all amateur, all kids from 18 years down to 13 years. And these are kids who have trained hard, understand the discipline, and we're matching up 7 kids from Chicago with 7 kids from our area, from our region. And that's the centerpiece for the whole evening. 15 bouts in all, 7 of the kids. We flew them in from Chicago. We're putting them up in local hotels, feeding them all kinds of local foods. We all know what they're going to be, right?
Yeah.
And it should be a really great time, and it all culminates with a dinner on Saturday afternoon. We're having a dinner at H.I.P for all the participants, so it should be a great evening. It's $50 for a ticket. You can buy tickets at the door, or you can get tickets at the Hazleton 1 Community Center. The student tickets are $20, so we want to make sure that everybody who wants to can afford to come.
So it's $20 for students and $50 for
Yep.
adults.
The event itself is at Terrace Plaza in the Heights, 601 South Poplar Street.
The name of the event is Joe Maddon's Made Event Fighting for Jordan. And as I said, if you're watching the show before December 20th, Friday night's the time to go after December 20th, where I'm airing the show, only to give you an idea of where your money could go and the good that could become from this foundation. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 247ssptv.com. All of the shows we produce, the 21 locally neighborhood shows, are on the website. Now, we don't have the app, but when you go to the website, you'll understand why it's all there. I want to thank all of those people who I see throughout northeastern Pennsylvania. I was in Scranton the other day, and the family came up and they enjoy us. We're on that system, the Comcast system, as you know, from Saturdays and Sunday mornings from 8 to 11, and of course the Wilkes-Barre system 7 to 11 p.m. and Pottsville we're on every day. I want to appreciate that. Over 100,000 people, according to our surveys and according to the ratings, are now watching the Sam Lesante Show. I really feel appreciate that very much in the comments. Okay, my guest today, former Congressman Lou Barletta, manager of the Los Angeles Angels, Joe Maddon, and Bob Curry, who is the co-founder of the H.I.P organization. We're talking about Lou's grandson. What's the rare cancer he has?
Rhabdomyosarcoma.
Okay, now could this be cured?
Well, like any cancer, it all depends. And he's had a heavy regimen of chemotherapy, and H.I.P is doing an unbelievable job watching him. But it's such a rare cancer. He can beat it, but as with any cancer,
So the monies that are coming in to we're going to go through Respect 90, but eventually it's going to go to you. I mean, to your foundation. Is there a number? Like, is there a goal that you're trying to hit, or?
No, we're going to try to take this nationally and really let this be a good funding source for trying to find a cure for rhabdo. As well as a support system for the children and families. I mean, I see what my daughter and son-in-law go through. Jordan's constantly in the emergency room, constantly going to the hospital. Just the cost of going back and forth, and the time missed from work. The Hazleton Area School District, where Kelly teaches, the teachers have been great, donating some vacation. I mean, this area, what they've done is just amazing. It's why we are so proud of where we come from. I mean, the teachers gave up their vacation days so that Kelly could stay home with Jordan. It's just, I can't say enough about it. But now, we're going to take this to another level, and Hazleton is going to do something for other families and other children.
So many events are happening, folks. I mean, so you had many ways of contributing. We were talking about December 20th, an event which was raising money, and this Joe Maddon's main event, Fighting for Jordan. And now, Bob, you're talking about the event itself. You have 15 bouts, amateur bouts, but you also have some stars there, right?
Oh yeah, every year we have some celebrities from the boxing world, and this year we have a special guest, which is really going to be a lot of fun. Hazleton is very familiar with former heavyweight champion and recent inductee into the Boxing Hall of Fame, Tim Witherspoon. Of course, he'll be with us again. Former light heavyweight champion Iran Barkley is coming. Kelly Pavlik, another welterweight champion, is coming. And our ring announcer this year, we have a really unique ring announcer, which everybody is going to be familiar with. Kenny Rosenthal from ESPN, MLB. Kenny is going to be our ring announcer for the evening. So we should have a really good time. Last year, like I said, everybody enjoyed this so much, and they encouraged us to do it again. And this year it'll be better than ever.
Joe, what's your position here on Friday night? What are you going to be doing? Well, are you going to be boxing someone from the Chicago Cubs or what?
I'm going to box Bob.
Yeah. Okay.
We've been training very hard,
missed that
as you can tell.
You missed a shot. I said you're going to be boxing someone from the Chicago Cubs, but you.
No. Listen, I have nothing but gratitude to the Cubs for what they did for me and my family. It was outstanding, and then I get to go back home to the Angels. I mean, that is definitely a win-win situation. Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. Regarding Friday night, Jay and I will be there. We'll address the crowd a little bit. But if you've not attended a boxing event before, I kind of like compare it to wrestling. When we were in high school, we used to go to the wrestling events and matches, and you would see your buddies wrestle. And I'm here to tell you, man, it's the most emotional thing to see a friend of yours in a wrestling situation, down, up, down, up. The kids with the boxing, it's kind of the same gig. If you've never seen one, listen, it's pretty intense, and the people start rushing to the ring and they start yelling at their fighters in the ring, and it was a blast. I mean, I never really saw anything. We've had it in Chicago the last several years. A little bit different in a sense, but it's visceral, man. You got to get out there and check it out, and you will feel things you haven't felt before. And listen, they're well protected. We have doctors there. Yeah. It's a great discipline to be involved in with the boxing. So if you've not seen one before, and these kids are into it, man, and it could be a way out for them eventually. At one time we were told that the NCAA might be considering scholarships for boxing in the future, which I really hope it does occur. But when you get to see them and get to see the kids and how much they're into it, you're really going to appreciate it.
The young fighters have develop a discipline,
Yep.
and they can appreciate, the sport and respect the sport. And it's like after they're done, they're shaking each other's hands. It's not that they hate each other, but it's the sport itself. And I think the discipline, once you understand the discipline of it, I think then you get a greater appreciation. Well, is that kid going to get hurt? And it's like wrestling. Sometimes these things happen. But wouldn't you agree, Joe?
Oh yeah, listen, they're well, they got the headgear on, and they're well protected, like I said, and they're well trained. I mean, these kids are in great shape, and of course, it's tough to watch sometimes, but when your kid plays football, they're going to get hit a little bit also. It's just, like you said, it's a great discipline. That's the thing we had talked about early on in the development of the HIP program. I always thought boxing would be a wonderful component of what we do. Again, just purely for that one word, discipline and respect. You have to show up. You have to attend a training several days a week. You're accountable to a coach and a group. We have a team coming up, don't we, from Baltimore, an actual team?
We do, yeah. We have a
boxing team, which I love when I heard that. That is a tremendous concept. And those are the kind of things you don't even think about. This is another method of it's an individualistic sport, absolutely, but there's also a team component to it, just like I said with wrestling. So I'm curious to see how this all plays out. It's something I want to continue to build on. I've often thought about having it at St. Joe's Gym at some point with the 2 decks as we continue to grow. But again, this is something here. We've done it in Chicago, and now I've already talked to Artie Moreno and the guys out in California. It'd be great to have some of the kids from here fly out there at some point and box in California. It's a really, like I said, like you alluded to, a great way to create discipline within the group and become part of a team.
Folks, I tell you, a lot of things happening in northeastern Pennsylvania. For those of you who can make the event, I highly recommend make it and have a good night. It's $50 for adults and $20 for students. However, if you're watching the show after December 20th, which we're going to be playing through the Christmas week, we can make a check out to Respect 90 Foundation. $5, $10, $20, whatever you want. Every little bit helps, believe me when I tell you. And the address is on the screen, Hazleton One Community Center, 225 East 4th Street, Hazleton, Pennsylvania. We got about 2 minutes left. Bob, the HIP program, and Joe alluded to it, that this is not a Hispanic event. It's diversity. And, I've seen how the young children or young adults, when they get there, Hispanics, white, Chinese, Japanese, etc., how they work together, and they bring that home, that their parents did not have that, okay? And I think that, Joe and Lou, is the biggest thing, that they're learning to respect each other, and they don't see a WAP, a Polak, an Irishman, a Hispanic. They see a human being. Am I?
Yeah, absolutely. If you take a bunch of kids, there's absolutely no prejudice within children.
No.
And even as those children grow, right now, if you walk into our gym today at 3 o'clock, I guarantee that you will see a lot of Latino kids, but you'll also see Anglo kids. And trust me, nobody cares. All they care.
Right.
Can you make a 3-point shot
That's
when the clock is running down?
That's the good
Because
thing.
if you do,
Yeah.
you're my friend.
Yeah.
You're my teammate.
That's right.
And it's so we do learn not only to respect each other, but to actually celebrate the differences within our cultures, and that's the goal.
You're so right. And we all went through some challenges, but it's just rolling right now. Lou, I wish you the best with this foundation, Respect 90 Foundation, folks, whatever you can give. Helping other children, and there's a reason why God gives you these burdens in life,
I want to thank Joe and Jay for getting involved and for caring enough, and for Bob for all the work that he's doing, for Hazleton and for the foundation. And someday, hopefully, 10 years from now, we're going to look back at what's happening right now and saying, we did okay. We took a bad situation and turned it into something really good.
What's going to happen?
Joe, I want to compliment you on the fact that you've always had some strong faith, and you believe in the greater Hazleton area, you believe in this area, and I think God's been good to you and giving you what you have in life, and so we want to thank you for that. Appreciate because you certainly always promote northeastern Pennsylvania, particularly your hometown. Mm-hmm. Jack Palance was the same way. Mm-hmm. Always did the same thing. So, on behalf of us here, we want to thank you for that. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And Bob,
today, buddy.
when we, you should start doing some work at the HIP. Instead of sitting around just.
I'll try. You should come in and give me the instructions that you're So kind to give, Joe.
Okay. I wish you all the best. Okay,
Thank
folks,
you.
remember, Respect 90 Foundation. If you're watching the show before December 20th, get up to the event, okay? It's a fun event, but make the check out, whatever it is, 5, 10, 20, whatever. Believe me, it's going to help a lot of young children. We'll see you next time.